It's time for Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore. A Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. Brought to you by Joe Lunghammer Chevrolet of Waterford. Plan your next vehicle purchase or get your credit rolling in the right direction with Regina today. And now, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore.
Good morning. Happy Saturday morning. You are listening to Be in the Driver's Seat, and I am Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, aka Regina Eileen Woodard, and I'm sitting next to my favorite co-host in the whole wide world, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. So glad to be on. Good morning, Regina.
Good morning. Happy Saturday. You know what? I'm so excited about this Saturday morning because, we have two influential people in the audience. Yeah. Well, in the studio this morning. In the studio this morning. Yeah. Super excited about your first guest and super excited to kick off your new segment that you're going to be doing every month, and that's Points to Ponder.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about how you came up with the Points to Ponder.
Well, I told you a while back when I was teaching at Baker College, I had this soapbox, right? And so my students had 15 minutes to put whatever topic or whatever situation they wanted to talk about in this box. And it was 15 minutes. We were going in the soapbox. You got 15 minutes to sit on your soapbox. Tell me, let's talk about the points you want to ponder on today. So it kind of started there. And then I always wanted to collaborate with other therapists. I'm not a competing therapist. I'm a collaborator. So I wanted to get with
say that one more time.
I am not a competing therapist. I'm a collaborator. There's enough work for all of us to do. And so I wanted to kind of bridge the gap, bring people together and to collaborate with other therapists. So hence, Points to Ponder. So I'm so excited about today's segment. We do have a dynamic therapist in the house, and I'm excited for our guest, who is Tameka Gaston. I go to church with Tameka, and I'm so excited that she's here in the studio. Good morning, Tameka.
Good morning, Tameka.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Tameka.
Yes. We're excited to have her on. So, this segment is dear to me, too. So we have some other therapists in the city that will be coming on. I got a yes from Dr. Sabrina Jackson. I got a yes from Dr. Michelle Leno. And I put a couple other emails out to a few more therapists in the city. But I have some people that's coming on. But today, to kick off the session, we got Tameka Gaston.
Welcome. Give her a hand of applause. Hope you guys get your pen and paper ready because this young lady, I just met her, but you know what? It's when you can meet someone and they light up the room with their beautiful smile, their personality. Thank you. Want to be with that person. You want to be in the position to what? Let them spread that love to you. Mm-hmm. Especially when you don't even know them. Yeah. Because you never know when you're going to meet a person or talk to a person. You never know who's going to come in your path.
That's true, right? And so the Bible tells us to let our light shine, right? So others can see and glorify our Father which art in heaven. And so her light is truly shining this morning. So I'm thankful for the light.
Amen.
So let's get started. You ready to get started?
I am.
Okay. So Tameka, tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is, of course, Tameka Gaston. I have been practicing a licensed marriage and family therapist for over a decade now.
A decade? Does that mean over 10 years?
She said a decade.
Unfortunately, yes.
Did you say unfortunately or is that fortunately?
It feels like forever now, but I do have a private practice by the name of New Perspectives Counseling Services here in the city, and I specialize in relationships and family counseling.
Awesome. That's amazing. So, like you said, you specialize in family, relationships and family. So let's just talk about family. As we were, first got in the studio, we were kind of just chatting it up. So tell the listeners, how important is therapy to bring all of the family members together to come to therapy? Why is that important?
Well, I think it's very important. I usually deal with a lot of issues. A lot of times I see communication problems within my practice, a lot of trust issues, a lot of issues faced around financial stress. So, of course, sometimes just to bring the whole, what we call in family therapy, a system into the office, it helps us to see a better picture, right? And in the family therapy world, we always have this saying that says you change one part of the system, you change the whole system, right?
Is that right?
Of course, if we could get the whole system within the family in the office in order to see that snapshot and to see that picture as a whole, it helps us. Well, it makes our job a lot easier.
What is the one thing that you think that families as a whole that they actually have issues at? You know, I'm just because I know we have a lot of listeners just thinking about themselves, their family, or thinking about their friends' family. So, what is one thing that you find that family stress in general? Is it the financial? Is it their health? Is their mental state? What's the one thing that people struggle with today?
Well, a lot of times, especially today, a lot of it is centered around either communication or boundaries. But specifically within my practice, sometimes it's the communication of the boundaries, right?
Oh, talk about that.
So what is that communication? Okay, so does that mean that someone's not having a conversation before something happens, or let's go on it. Just give me an example, because you're not talking about a certain client. So give me an example of how is that communication? How is the communication breakdown?
Right. So I always tell people it's a good idea to have boundaries, right? But those boundaries mean nothing if, one, we don't necessarily know what they are, two, we don't know how to communicate them, and then three, we don't know how to enforce them. So it's one thing to have boundaries. It's one thing for me to say this does not work for me. But if I'm not specific about what that this is, and then two, actually communicate that to you so that you're aware of this is my boundary, and then three, enforce it, right? Because I can say it, I can know what it is, but if I don't follow through with it, what good is it, right?
So I'm gonna give you an example. So this is my boundary. I do not want you to call me out my name. No, that's not a good example. A boundary. So give me an example of a boundary. What is a boundary?
I can tell you, I recently
Please?
had a conversation with a client. She was just jokingly saying, like, she doesn't like people to call her before 10 a.m., right? That's just a boundary of hers. Simple boundary. It's nothing that she was, like, overly exuberant about. But at the same time, people would do it still. They would still call her before 10 a.m., and she had a strong will of not answering the phone and doing whatever, right? So it's still me saying this is what is specific to me as a person. I don't like people to disturb my morning, or, I like to have that time to meditate, or whatever the case is. I can tell you it, right? I can give you that boundary. But at the same time, if I don't follow up with it, and if, say, for instance, you call me before 10 a.m. and I still answer the phone, am I enforcing that boundary?
No, you're not, because you're answering the phone.
Right. So, like, even within families, right? Because we have a tendency, especially within the African-American community, to be what we call enmeshed, right? We have no strict boundaries. Everything goes. We have a tendency to let people kind of run all over us, or whatever the case is, right? So sometimes it's one thing, like I said, to know the boundary, to communicate the boundary, and then to go back and enforce that boundary.
That's good. That's good. So when you talk about relationships, period, not just, in their family, but you're talking about with friendships, you're talking about every kind of ship there is, right?
Exactly.
Either whether you're on a job or what have you, boundaries, you place boundaries in place so that there's some respect there. So boundaries to me is like a form of respect. Like,
Exactly.
you're going to respect me and honor this. honor what I'm asking of you. And so when I say that, like for instance, Regina, we have boundaries, you and I. And so one of the boundaries is we're always going to respect each other. We're not going to curse each other out. We're going to listen to one another, right? But in family,
But that's because we're business partners.
but that doesn't mean that we respect each other's boundaries. And so oftentimes businesses, they don't last, or relationships dissolve because there's no boundaries. And even just like in families, if you don't tell me what you want, I can't read your mind. And oftentimes we want people to be mind readers.
But if you don't tell me what I don't like, if you tell me you do something, and if you don't tell me also what you don't like, that's a problem too, because maybe you have that friendship with someone, right? Or you got that relationship with someone, right? And then you have boundaries, but they don't know your boundaries.
Yeah.
Because when you meet everybody, do you always tell them your boundaries? Did I say always? No, you don't. Because you got to get to that person. Got to get to know you.
Yeah, and it
right?
goes back to that communication piece.
That's it.
That's it.
Communication, boundaries. You put that together.
That was good. And
She
guess what's
did.
so awesome about it is, Tameka is absolutely right. We see that over 65% of marriages, they dissolve because the lack of communication. There's a lack of communication, financial issues, and of course, intimacy/sex. When there's a problem in those areas, what happens is when people don't speak up right away, then they allow things to fester, and then it takes one little thing and everything is toe up. There's a big blow up because we didn't communicate early on what we had issues with. We didn't address those
Communication is key.
Communication is key. And so, Tameka, let me ask you this. So we're talking about the benefits of families coming into therapy, and you said communication seems to be one of the biggest things that you see. But what about trust? What about trust?
Okay, see, my understanding of trust, I had a very insightful education level on trust when I was in grad school, right? And my professors pretty much just kind of put it to us like, the way we talk about trust is wrong, right? We always come up with these ideals of like, I don't trust you because you haven't done A, B, C, D, or E, right? You haven't earned my trust. And at the end of the day, trust in itself is a perception.
Right.
We can't test for trust. There's no trust gene. There's no DNA strand that we can test for, right?
Right.
So I always put it to my clients like this. At the end of the day, trust really starts with you.
It does.
Trust really means I trust myself enough to handle whatever it is you can put me through.
That's good.
So if you think about trust, so I was always taught this. I trust you until you make me not trust you. Till you do something that doesn't allow me to trust you. So it don't have to be something that I ask you to do or that I want you to do, but you're in my space. Do you respect my space? Did you do something where I can't trust you? So were you taught that, what, do you do something that I don't trust you, or you just, I mean, tell me what that means, because I know my trust is that what I just said. Is that what your professor was saying, or
I feel like
am I all off base?
when I hear you say that, right? What I really hear, as I tell people, my therapist ears. Hear.
That's what I want. That's what I want your therapist to hear.
I trust you, or I trust myself around you until I realize you have the capabilities of hurting me.
I think that.
It starts with you first, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't necessarily know people that walk up on you. You don't know whether or not to trust them. You don't know them until you know the capabilities that they have of being able to hurt you.
That's good.
So when they hurt you, that's when you
where-
don't trust them.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah.
And then oftentimes you get mad at yourself for allowing yourself to
Yes,
trust
yes, we
somebody.
do. Yes, we
Trust
do.
somebody
Yes,
who
we do.
never earned
That never earned your trust.
Should have never
Should
earned
never
your trust.
earned. But you did not know.
I joke
No.
with people all the time. I'm going to write a book about the stupid chick moment.
Come on, what's the
Come on now. What's that stupid chick moment?
It's that moment in a relationship where we realize that trust has been broken.
Yeah.
but we tend to try to push past it anyway.
Yeah.
And then you're constantly playing that over and over in the back of your head. You's a stupid chick. Why in the world are you still?
Well, that's what we say something. We're
Well,
going to talk about relationships. I'm not cutting you off on relationships on that. That's what we say when a man does something.
Exactly.
You're a stupid chick. And then it's like, okay, well, but you got it. People make mistakes. Okay, we'll be right back. We got to pay some bills. Joe Longhammer Chevrolet, the president of Joe Longhammer Chevrolet, just texted me and called me and said, hey, you got to take a break. I need to hear my commercials. And then also, we got a couple other people we need to get their commercials.
Some more commercials coming out. We got Marilyn Walker, and we got attorney Lashonda Lewis is coming. The commercial is coming. Brenda Denise Davis commercial is coming. And, of course, we got Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. Her commercial is coming.
All right, we'll be right back. She's stuttering this morning, but we're going to get her together, but we love her. We'll be right back. Regina, the Queen of Car Loans here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the Queen, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. Just Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
My name is Marilyn Walker, and I am your advocate attorney. For over 25 years, I've helped your friends and neighbors by providing solid legal advice and strategy during difficult times. My clients will tell you that I am experienced, knowledgeable, caring, and reasonable. If divorce, custody, support, or visitation are critical issues facing you, stop worrying and call me, Marilyn Walker, the advocate attorney, at 248-332-2227. Allow a skillful lawyer to advocate for you. Looking to buy or sell your home? Whether you're relocating to Michigan from another state or another country, moving across town, upgrading, or downsizing, Brenda D. Davis from Century 21 Town and Country Real Estate is your locally known home purchase expert. Buying or selling your home is a complex process. Let Brenda simplify it every step of the way. Brenda D. Davis, the realtor that moves you. Call 248-909-9711 and get moving on your new home purchase or sale today. That's 248-909-9711. Call now.
So we're back, and we're still talking about the dumb broad or the dumb girl. Or what did I say that right? The dumb broad or the dumb chick? The stupid chick. Okay, so we're back, and we're still talking about the stupid chick. The stupid chick. Oh, we got something for the stupid guys, too. Okay, so let's continue to talk about that. The stupid chick. Or, what was it again?
Dumb dude.
The dumb dude. Okay. What do you have still on that, Tameka?
Well, again, just the notion of this idea that we are constantly playing out the mistrust in the back of our head as we try to continue with the relationship that trust has been clearly broken, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that is healing the hurt of how we let ourselves down, right? Because at the end of the day, again, trust is not necessarily held in the other person's hands. It's more of a perception that we have about this relationship. So a lot of times I like to go back and ask people, like, where did the hurt start, right? Mm-hmm. Like, where is it that we started to learn that other people have the capacity to hurt us in such a way that causes us to feel mistrust?
See, it was because we had that past relationship and we let that other stuff come onto this relationship. That's my friend talking right now. That's not me. But that's what it is. That's what it is. It's because women let what happened in their previous relationships come to this one relationship. And then they figure they the stupid chick or you a stupid chick, right? And you didn't deal with it, right? Look at me, giving everybody. I'm giving y'all some pointers today with Tameka, the therapist.
Listen, so we tend to have baggage in our own backyard, and we continue to take it from relationship to relationship and not deal with our own baggage, right? And so what I love about this segment is, even with coming to a therapist, after you've been hurt and your trust has been violated, it's even harder to come and sit in front of somebody and trust them. And that's part of the therapist relationship with client, that you build a rapport, that you build trust. But it's difficult to build trust with somebody when you're so broken and you're hurt, right? And so that's the same thing when we were talking about relationships, right? The patterns of how relationships, where you fit in a relationship. So as a therapist, it's our job to try to build the rapport with someone so that they can come in and openly say, I was that. I may have been that chick that, was considered stupid, right? But we're not calling women stupid, so please hear that. But sometimes we do have moments, right?
So we do have moments. What I said at the beginning of the segment coming back was just me talking. You know what I mean? Because trust me, I'm a woman and I'm saying the same thing that Tameka just said. I have to say that in the back of my mind too. Yeah. It's there.
I think we all do.
Yeah, we all do. But we gotta get something for the guys. We gotta talk about it. This is why we need a male today.
Yeah,
so we do have a male in the studio. His name is Marcus, and let's get into the male part because we're gonna put Marcus on the spot and we're gonna get him to say something. So we're gonna talk about the male. What was that part we was gonna talk about?
It was the dumb dudes, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a human experience. To have what I call just again moments of mistrust within our lives. It's a human experience. It doesn't necessarily make it male, female, or to me, honestly and truthfully, it doesn't make it bad or good.
So you know what I need you guys to do? I need you guys to go to our Facebook page, be in the driver's seat. We guys need you to go follow our pages because you know what? We're going to be putting pictures. We're going to be having conversation about this. I'm sorry, I had to get that in there.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good. But, we often avoid having conversations, difficult conversations, or we want people to think that, we got it going on in such a way that we don't have moments of mistrust, moments of vulnerability, moments that we're actually hurting. We want everybody to think that we got it all the way going on, but the reality of it is we got some issues.
So
at the end of the day, let's just be real. You can't necessarily change what you don't address.
Come on now.
Yes.
Right? So if I can actually have that moment of honesty with myself to say, okay, I've let myself down, right? Mm-hmm. I have been in this moment, maybe a little stupid, maybe a little dumb, but how do I get to a point where
is that the dumb
I
dude?
acknowledge it,
Or
right?
a dumb broad?
Well, okay.
Both.
A little bit of both.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
How do I get to a point where I can be able to acknowledge it enough to heal it and move on?
That's good.
That's it.
So
I'm both
we're talking about healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one thing to acknowledge, but it's another thing to recognize I'm acknowledging this, but then there's a process that I got to go through for healing, right? And so oftentimes we get stuck in the hurt and never go through the process.
We do.
Don't abort the process.
We do.
There's healing in the process.
Amen. So let's phase one question here to Marcus. Let's put him on the spot. What's one question that we can ask Marcus? I'm going to pass the mic to him. I'm going to move it over. What's one question we can ask him to put him on the spot for the male point of view? Come on now, I'm listening. We got dead air. What's going on? Talk to us.
I think it would be good to know from a male perception, what exactly do you look for as trustworthy behaviors?
Trustworthy behaviors, I would have to say mostly, being there in the moment for me, and like you said, communication to me is number one. Communication in a way, I guess, to know that when I get passionate in this conversation, I'm not coming at you, but I want to talk. So how would you say a guy, I guess I'm asking a little bit of a question, but in communication, how would you say your tone could come across? And I guess some dumb dudes, we don't know our tone. We don't know when we're getting aggressive, and it can come across when we're just getting passionate in our conversation with our lady or something. So I guess that's a little bit of my point that's the most important to me is communication and the tone of that communication.
That's good.
So here's where I guess, and I hate for this to sound like circular reasoning, right? But I encourage my clients to take that ideal, right? Understanding communication is the best thing to do with the person that you're in a relationship with. Because I could say all day, I don't like your tone or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's a little aggressive to me. The next woman is not going to have that same perception. Mm-hmm. The next woman might think of it as, he's just being, straightforward, or he's just being direct, and I'm okay with that. So again, the ideal of communication, how do we engage our partner? How do we engage the specific person that we're with? So those questions to me are very valuable, but then how do I bring them and address them in the relationship that I'm currently in?
That's good.
Because we have a tendency to, again, as Dr. Teresa pointed out to us, carry that baggage from one relationship to the next, assuming that this person's going to be like the last person.
Absolutely.
But see, the difference is, right, with Marcus is a young guy, right? Marcus is in his, he's young, 20s, right? Millennium, but thank you. He's a millennium, right? So him being millennium, he's thinking different than what we are because we're seasoned, right?
Yeah.
Millennium. So right now we're drawing in the millennium. We have millennium talking.
Yeah.
How he's addressed that being at a young age, because he's not been in relationships where he's had baggage for 20 years,
right?
Because he's not seasoned yet. He's still a millennium.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help a brother out.
So, but you know what I love about this is still, one thing Marcus said, he talked about passionate communication. Communication is communication, no matter if you're old, young, it's just how you deliver it, right? And so he's talking about being passionate. Well, millennials, sometimes it comes across as being aggressive when you're seasoned, especially when you're, a baby boomer or you're somebody who's a little older, because you're used to respect. And we have to understand, Marcus is thinking with a 20-something-year-old mindset, whereas I might be thinking with this 50-year-old mindset. So totally, it's going to be disrespectful to me because of the way I was brought up, right? In the area, in the environment I grew up in. But it's all about understanding one another. Communication, no matter who you are, you can communicate in such a way that is respectful. It's a difference between respect and being disrespectful.
How do you feel about that?
No, I completely agree, and I say at that point it's very true, where there is that balance where it's like one person is just getting very passionate and the other person doesn't really understand because they do come from a different mindset and everything. And I can also relate, I've seen some relationships where sometimes I hear friends and they're in an argument and you can hear the other side, and this is something of the younger generation. I don't know, it has to go a little bit with trust, but sometimes it's felt that one side has to win the argument and as opposed to the other side, and you need to go and now sit your place, admit that you were wrong. And I guess my kind of question is, how do we, go about that? And some of young millennials, they are out here in the relationship and they come across this bridge where the argument always seems like one side has to win out over the other. And I guess, how do we come to that as a guy, knowing that, you're going to be wrong sometimes, and as a female too, that, hey, it's, this is a different perspective that this person is just bringing to you. Your point is not invalid, but, and we just want to give you a different look on it. What would you say about, I guess, something like that, where it's like, you're just in an argument, no side is really winning. Is there ever a side that always wins in an argument or something?
So, the crazy thing about all of this is because there's research out of the Gottman Institute that happens to come from the ideal that, I think it's about maybe 95% of all arguments are unsolvable, right? 94. So really, at the end of the day, what we do in long-term relationships is learn how to live with each other, right? It's not necessarily about winning the argument. One thing that, again, Dr. Teresa pointed out, that effective communication, right? Not necessarily looking at it as good communication or bad communication. Communication is just communication. I have a different style of speaking than the next person. So a lot of times I'll try to look at it as effective communication, which a lot of times effective communication really is just the understanding of, is the message trying to be given the actual message received?
That's good. That's good.
Right.
And oftentimes, we're listening just to respond.
Exactly.
We're not listening to hear. He who has a ear, let him hear, right?
Exactly.
And so we're listening to respond. And what I love about this is that it goes back to boundaries. Because the bottom line is, you have to make up your mind, do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? Because you don't always have to win an argument.
Amen.
And people say we're going to agree to disagree. That's crazy to me. You're going to agree with me to disagree with what I'm saying. So that means we ain't resolved nothing. So that go back to that 94% that Goodman was talking about, that all arguments are not really resolvable. And so you have to get to a place that what is really being said here? Why are we having a problem with communication? Is it that I'm not hearing you, or do I not want to hear you? Because there's a choice. It all begins with a choice. You get to decide that I want to be happy. I ain't finna be arguing with nobody. Right. I want to be happy. You know what? If that I respect you enough to I respect your point of view, whether I like it or not, I respect you to a point that, you know what, this is your point of view, and I respect that about you. I ain't gotta agree with you, but I can respect you.
Right. Hey, that was spot on point. I think for all the dudes in the audience today, they got some messages, some words of wisdom right there. I'm gonna toss the mic back. Thank you, Regina, for letting me step in here.
Oh wow! You know what? You know what? You can go to our after this show is done on this Saturday morning. You can go to beinthedriverseat.com. Beinthedriverseat.com. Driver's seat. S is on drivers and then seat.com, and listen to this episode because we got something for the millennium. That just takes it back to this part of the segment of the show. Points to Ponder leads back when is at the first. Saturday where we have the Millennium segments, right?
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited about that. So
you got 30 seconds to do that.
Every first Saturday, we have the Millennials on the Move. So we're so excited. We have our own Lashonda McCather that's coming, and Sierra Warren will be on.
Which is your baby girl?
She is, which is my daughter, and she's the owner of Delicious Sweets Bake Shop. And let me say, Shay McCather is the glamorous rebel. So
we got to go. We got to take a break.
It's time to take a break.
Joe Longhammer just texted me. We got to go.
Okay.
We'll be right back. We got to take a break, a station break, a syndicated station break, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Regina, the Queen of Carlone's here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others simply cannot. This month, the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me will get a $75 gift card to Times Square Men's Custom Suits on Livernois Avenue. Suits for all occasions. Ride in style with the Queen. Regina, the Queen of Carlone. Just Google Regina, the Queen of Carlone.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Are you sinking farther and further in debt? Tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Facing garnishment, repossession, or foreclosure? Thinking of filing bankruptcy but still have questions? Call Lewis Law at 248-785-3780. Attorney Lewis has over 20 years of experience handling Chapter 7 and 13 bankruptcies. The bankruptcy code is complicated, and you need an experienced attorney to guide you through the process. We can take care of your bankruptcy and probate needs. Call Lewis and Law, 248-785-3780. We are a debt relief agency. We can help people file for bankruptcy under U.S. Bankruptcy Code. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. So we're finishing up with Tameka this morning, and we wanted to give you share her information, tongue-tied this morning, because this segment was so awesome. I mean, Points to Ponder every month is going to be off the chain. It is. How do we get in touch with you, Tameka?
Well, you can find me on psychologytoday.com. I am listed under my given name, Tameka Gaston. And also, you can like me on Facebook at New Perspectives with an S, Counseling Services, LLC. And you can also find that contact information if you do need counseling services in the area.
Well, thank you, Tameka. We're so glad that you were in the studio with us today. But listen, guys, for all of those that are listening, I need you to listen to the end of the show. We will be announcing the winner of our Sweetest Day giveaway, who won those 2 tickets with popcorn and drinks. So stick around to the end so you can see who that winner is. And a reminder, our unsung hero, you have until November the 12th to go to beinthedriverseat@gmail.com to nominate your unsung hero. And then we will announce that hero on the radio. Listen, we want you to tell us your name, their name, and why you are nominating them. So we're looking forward to that. And also, if you are looking to advertise, please go to beinthedriverseat@gmail.com and leave us an email. We have a package set just for you.
Oh, I'm super excited. What else we got next? We got anything else we got going on? I know we are working on some great things for Thanksgiving, working with Pontiac Meals on Wheels. Let me just give a shout out to, I call her Mama Rosa. Yeah. Mama Rosa Randolph. She is one of the hardest working ladies around town. Yes, and we're going to be doing collaboration Joe Longhammer Chevrolet with also Pontiac Meals on Wheels with Mama Rosa Randolph, and also one of her manager, Daryl Anderson. We call him DA. That's also my big brother. So you have one more thing you want to share too, right,
yeah,
Dr.
so
T?
It's Saturday, so guess what? We get to shout out businesses this Saturday.
Yes.
So hey, so we got a shout out going to Roland Spit Coat. Row, Mr. Coat is the owner of 218 that's in Detroit in the Eastern Market area, and also Burn Rubber and Royal Oak. Listen, Mr. Row Spit gave away free Jordans to the 8th grade students in a school in Pontiac. This gentleman has put Pontiac on the map. The insole of his shoes has a map that has the city of Pontiac, and also his shoe is designed to also represent the Flint water crisis. So Roland, Mr. Coat, we salute you today. Shout out to him, and your business. Great job.
Great job. And I got to go get my Jordans.
I got to give me some, too.
I got to go get my Jordans. So we have to pay a visit to the store soon.
We do. And if anybody want to buy us some, we do take donations. we do take donations. But, Ro, we'll be to the store soon. The Queen and Dr. T will be rocking Jordans.
Yes, we will. We'll be right back, and after we'll be right back with attorney Lashonda
Lewis with Lewis Law Firm. So we're so excited. Stay tuned. And also, we got the winner coming up.
All right. Regina, the Queen of Caroline's here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the Queen, Regina the Queen of Car Loans. Just Google Regina the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
My name is Marilyn Walker, and I am your advocate attorney. For over 25 years, I've helped your friends and neighbors by providing solid legal advice and strategy during difficult times. My clients will tell you that I am experienced, knowledgeable, caring, and reasonable. If divorce, custody, support, or visitation are critical issues facing you, stop worrying and call me, Marilyn Walker, the advocate attorney, at 248-332-2227. Allow a skillful lawyer to advocate for you.
You are listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. I'm your host, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. I just got back from singing backup for Janet Jackson and Diana Ross, and I'm back in the studio on this Saturday morning to join my co-host, my favorite girl, my little sister, my younger sister. You know, I'm taller, I'm a little older, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. So glad to be on Be in the Driver's Seat. How you doing, Regina?
I'm doing good, but you know what? I want to get right on into this segment because we have attorney
Lashonda Lewis is in the house. Woo, woo. I'm so excited because her office is in. Is that Pontiac?
Pontiac Waterford border.
You know, I put my city on the map. Okay, Pontiac in the house.
I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of bankruptcy, Chapter 7. Chapter 13, and then we're going to be talking about debt relief. So, you know what? Y'all better get your pen, your paper. Y'all better if y'all missed it on that Saturday morning, y'all better go to our website, beinthedriverseat.com, and download the episode, because you if you ain't listening for yourself, you're listening for a friend, you're going to share a friend, you can always text it to your friend because there's some valuable information we're going to share. We're going to have them on. We're going to have her on every other month, or her partner, Marilyn Walker, attorney Marilyn Walker too. Yes. But today I really want to talk about what is the difference between a chapter 7 and a chapter 13. And don't go slow. For the people in the front, for the people in the middle, and for the people in the back. So, and that's me. I'm on all 3 maps.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Saturday. A chapter 7. A chapter 7 is what a lot of people call a liquidation bankruptcy. That's where you wipe the slate clean, you discharge all of your debt, and you get a fresh start without owing most debt. It's never all debt, right? You're still going to owe student loans. If you owe the government money, you're going to pay that. If you owe money.
So wait. So you can't. So let's be clear here.
Let's
slow down for me here.
In liquidation, why I still gotta owe the student loans?
Most of the time, you owe the student loans. Okay. Most of the time, it's rare that you can discharge student loans. It can happen, but most of the time, you're gonna pay back.
So what's the situation that you're able to liquidate your student loan? Is there a situation that you can liquidate a student loan? I'm asking for a friend because this is no, seriously, because 60 to 70% of my customers have Bruce credit. And only because I've developed this relationship with you the last couple years that I have started and I'm sending customers, because if they have a certain situation going on, I used in the past, being 24 years in the car business, is that I didn't send them to anybody. But now I'm comfortable to say, you know what, call my girl, Attorney Lewis. She'll take care of you. She'll get you right. So give me an example of how you can, liquidate a student loan is included. I'm just asking for a friend. I'm not trying to give anybody any ideas, but I'm just asking for a friend.
Generally, you're able to liquidate or discharge a student loan if there's some type of fraud in the institution, or maybe the institution is no longer in existence. But that's usually rare. And also, courts are looking at your age when you're discharging student loans. That's rare. You're better off seeking to get the $10,000 or $20,000 that they're giving you on the with the debt relief or the student loan relief, because most of the time you're not discharging student loans. Now, back in previous laws, back in the 90s, you were able to discharge student loans, but under our current bankruptcy system, it's very difficult to discharge student loans. If that's your only reason for filing, you probably want to go a different route.
So, I remember, again, being 24 years in this automobile space, customers would go file Chapter 7, is discharging, is that 90 days, or it takes 90 to 120 days to be discharged?
Yes, that's correct.
And then they would be able to come in dealership and just automatically get a car. And it's not so easy like it used to be. I just want you to elaborate on that. What's going on in some of your customers that you have or had in their mind when they're thinking about, well, let me file this bankruptcy and let me go get this car. How are they feeling? I mean, what's their, what are they when they file? Are they okay? I got to go get this car, or are they just excited that it's discharged and I'm starting over?
One thing about bankruptcy, or any time you're bruising your credit or you're hurting your credit, is that it's going to take time. Bankruptcy, if your credit score is already low, bankruptcy is going to make it potentially better, but it's going to take time. And the thing that's going to allow you to buy the cars or to make smarter decisions in the future is to continue to make those smarter decisions, to continue to be a responsible credit person. As we know, the markets are going to tighten and loosen up depending on what the lending agencies are doing. So we really have no control over that. But we have control over the decisions and the benefits that we receive from anytime we need a bankruptcy relief or any type of relief. It's just making smarter decisions, and point by point, day by day, your credit will return and become better. And I do think that you can continue to buy things in the future. It's going to take time. I know people who have bought houses and cars and all types of things after the bankruptcy. After the bankruptcy,
okay.
Yes.
So has it is it like maybe 6 months, a year? So somebody files, and I'm just want to, based on your past experience with customers, is it 6 months or is it a year that they get onto a plan on buying a house, or what are you seeing?
It's really based on the lenders. It's based on the credit market.
I like that. That's a good answer, because back in the day, people would file Chapter 7. I'm about to go get me a new car. Nope, it ain't happening. You're not everybody that files bankruptcy cannot just walk in and just get a brand new car. It's not like it used to be.
So as I'm listening in, and so for all the listeners that are on today, I'm sure it's in the back of their mind, like, is Chapter 7 right for me? Like, how do you determine if they should go with the Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13? If someone came to you and wanted some counseling, like,
Great
I got
question.
this debt, I don't know which one would benefit me. What is some of the things you would start out doing to find out?
One of the first things we're going to discuss is, why do you need this relief? Because bankruptcy, the reality is that, and part of bankruptcy counseling or debt relief counseling is that it's not meant for everyone. Some people, it's just not. It's not going to be your best solution. So when we look at a Chapter 13, usually you're filing a Chapter 13. Maybe you're behind on a vehicle or a house or some other asset, and you wish to keep that. Or maybe you have too much equity in your assets. Maybe you have too much equity in your house or your car, or your mother has due on her house, or you have too many assets. So usually Chapter 13s are used primarily for consolidation of debt, debt reorganization. We need to catch up back payments. We have too much equity. Or maybe we filed a prior Chapter 7 and we're just not eligible to file a Chapter 7 right now or at this time. So usually, a lot of times it's because maybe there's a foreclosure. I would say most of the time it's because maybe there's a foreclosure or maybe there's a repossession pending and you want to save or keep that house or car.
So, what at least the fact is, laws have changed. How long do people have to wait? Because I know laws have changed from 10 years ago, right? Or I don't know how long ago it was. How long do you have to wait? If you file one Chapter 7, how long do you have to wait to file another?
Chapter 7, there's 8 years. Under the previous law, the laws were rehauled 2005, 2006. Under the new laws, you have to wait 8 years between bankruptcy, between Chapter 7s.
And what was it before?
6.
Woo! Okay. Yeah, okay. Because I've been in this business as long as I have. I see people file, and then I see them 5 years later, 6 years. I see them, they filed again. I'm like, you able to do that twice? Well, yeah. And that's like moving up from one house to another. Wow. I hate to say it, but moving to one house to another was like people file the bankruptcy. Wow. Chapter 13 is when you're not you have too much equity in what you have. Is that what you're saying? Let's get the full blown definition of Chapter 13.
It's some type of a reorganization. You're reorganizing. It's the equivalent of a business Chapter 11 for individuals. So you're reorganizing your household for some reason. Maybe you're delinquent on a house or a car, so you need to catch up on payments. Or perhaps you have too much equity and you still need debt relief. You still need to file, but because your creditors are still contacting you, but it'll give you some protection from your creditors, but you may have to pay back something. So it's always going to be a payment plan. A Chapter 13 is always going to involve some type of a payment to your creditors. Sometimes it's paying it all back. Sometimes it's paying less back. One thing about a Chapter 13 is that it stops the creditors from it kind of curbs or limits the amount of interest.
It puts them at bay.
It puts them at bay.
Okay.
It puts everyone at bay. So no one can collect, no one can add anything else, and we just pay it off over time pursuant to the plan that we come up with your creditors and the trustee. We come up with a plan, a solution to your problem. So it's a solution.
So because I see a lot of people that when they file their Chapter 13 that, their credit score is better than it ever has been when you do a 13, right? Then, and then they have to come to the courts, right? Or come to you or talk to you to actually get permission. Tell us how that works.
Well, with the Chapter 13, we prepare a plan. We prepare a blueprint, a plan. I owe X amount of debt. This is my personal plan for how I'm going to pay off my debt and come out of this in 3 to 5 years without owing any of my debt. So it's except for maybe student loans, but
put that clear out there.
But you're going to pay off your tax debt. If you owe any delinquent child support, you pay all of that off in the Chapter 13. You pay off taxes, you pay off your house, you can pay off your car. You also can surrender anything, so you can walk away from items. But it just comes up with an organized plan to deal with your debt. It keeps the creditors from contacting you. It stops all creditor contact, and it just allows you to navigate through your debt situation without that stress, because it's stressful to have the creditors calling you.
So is that about Chapter 7? What's the average time? How long does that last?
Chapter 7s are usually complete in 90 to 120 days.
Okay. I'm sorry, I meant Chapter 13.
Chapter
13. When you said, I'm like, sorry, Chapter 13. What's the completion? What's the average time of completion for a Chapter 13 completion?
A Chapter 13 completion is usually 3 to 5 years. Most of the time, it's a minimum of 3 years, or unless you pay off all of your debt. So it's a minimum of 3 years, but it's up to 5 years.
So that means that when they're done, they get their discharge papers, but when they're out of bankruptcy, what do you guys have to? What do attorneys have for customers after it's discharged? Because they're not paying their bills, right? Because you guys are taking the money out of their check. Is that correct? Or out of their account?
Over the course of a Chapter 13, you do pay off your debts. You pay off your debts over the course of it's usually
out of their check, though, right? Or
that's
their account.
The trustees prefer it come out of your paycheck, but it can also come out of your bank account, or you can make a direct payment.
And I wanted to horn in on that. Wasn't trying to be mean, but trying to horn because I need people to know the difference and what's the procedure if they chose to do that. Because we're not ever suggesting what you should do. That's why we call it be in the driver's seat, right, Dr. T?
That's right.
We're putting you in the driver's seat for whatever you choose to do. Whether you want to file Chapter 7, Chapter 13, or you want to get your credit repaired, or you want to buy a house, we put you or you want to get a mortgage, we put you in the driver's seat, do whatever you want to do. Or you want to see a psychologist, we do that. Mm-hmm. So being in the driver's seat means we want you in total control of what you do, no matter what you do, right?
I do have a question, though, Lashonda. Is there, so I know that there's some criteria, right, before you can file a 7 or a 13. Is there a credit limit, like a debt limit, I'm saying, that you have to be in to be even accepted in 7 or 13?
It's individual. When we decide especially for a Chapter 7, or if you're going to file a bankruptcy, it's dependent. It's dependent upon your financial situation. For example, if I have $10,000 worth of debt, but I only make $1,000 a month, that's going to be very different than if I have $10,000 worth of debt and I make $5,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So it's individual based on it's a unique circumstance based on your life and what's going on in your debt. It's not a answer for everyone. It's always unique. It's not a general answer. It's really, we tailor it.
Okay. So it's tailor-made. Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna wrap this. We're gonna wrap up real quick. Take a break and come back because I have a huge question. We'll be right back. Regina, the Queen of Car Loans here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others simply cannot. This month, the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me will get a $75 gift card to Times Square Men's Custom Suits on Livernois Avenue. Suits for all occasions. Ride in style with the Queen. Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. Just Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
So we're back. We're still talking to attorney Lashonda
Lewis.
So, Lashonda, I have this burning question. If a person files bankruptcy and they have $20,000 or $15,000 money, and sometimes people don't want. I have had customers of you. Well, I got too much money in the bank. I got to move it over here. I got to do this. Can you kind of elaborate on that burning question of having some money, or what can they have and still file bankruptcy?
Yes. One thing you have to remember when you're hiring, and while you can file bankruptcy on your own, when you're hiring a professional.
Whoa, back up.
You can. I don't recommend it.
No, because let me just say, don't file bankruptcy on your own.
I don't recommend it.
And I'm glad you said that because people do it. They think because they want to save, I'm talking to you, you want to save, and you don't know what you're doing because you don't know the law. This is not what you do. So stay in your lane, just like I do cars, right? I stay in my lane. Dr. T, what do you do?
It depends on the day, but therapy, I stay in my lane.
Right, we know whatever you do when you cater, you stay in your lane.
In my lane.
You in your lane. So stay in your lane. That's not what you do. don't mess your credit up because you don't know what you do. But go ahead. I'm sorry I had to put that plug out there.
And that's what I was going to get at, is that when you hire a professional, you're paying for that advice. And part of that advice is, how can I best protect my assets? And one of the
Amen.
One of the things I said earlier is that bankruptcy is not for everyone, or maybe it's not a time. We can protect assets. We can protect cash, but it has to make sense. So that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the advice for you to avoid committing bankruptcy fraud. Heaven forbid that happens, because now you're looking at $500,000 fines or 5 years in prison. So it's just not worth it.
Well, how much can you protect?
Generally, it's a sliding scale, but all things being equal, as far as cash, you can protect about $12,000, assuming that you don't have a lot of equity elsewhere. But generally, that's the rules are kind of, sometimes we can protect $20,000 of equity in your house, sometimes 40, sometimes it's 56, depending on your age. So that's part of the advice that we're providing, like what's the best route to go. But if you have but at the end of the day, if you have $12,000 in cash and $10,000 in debt, that bankruptcy is probably not going to make sense, because you have more, you have more assets than debt. So that's part of the advice, and part of the process is figuring out what's the best solution. And maybe it's not bankruptcy in that situation. Maybe it's a matter of, maybe we should be settling those debts for less than the fair market value. And that's one thing about when we're looking at bankruptcy.
So you do that. So if the person doesn't file bankruptcy, you have a fee where you can say, well, you know what, I'll help you settle your debt.
When bankruptcy doesn't make sense, sometimes we are settling debts. We're settling debts. Sometimes it's 50 cents on the dollar. Sometimes it just depends on the creditor and what's going on. So sometimes,
but you do that, correct?
We do that. Yes, we do that.
Oh, that's strong. I did not know that. That's powerful. Because you got to think about it. You might not have to file bankruptcy. You're going to contact attorney Lewis, but maybe you're not in that position to file bankruptcy, so you don't have to file bankruptcy, but she can help you settle your debt. Wow. But look, don't settle your debt by yourself. Get a professional to help you, especially if you can do, say, 50 cents on a dollar. I mean, 50 cents on a dollar, I might have to go to school on how to, or get some counseling tips or some advice on helping you settle your debt to get paid. But I'm not an attorney. I'm just kidding. I'm staying in my lane. But let's talk about some steps on filing bankruptcy. You guys, I hope you have your pen and paper ready right now, because just steps, that things that people should know that you go through, because this is important. Because it's like when you come to buy a car, guess what? You don't just boom, I'm approved. It's a process. You take we got to get the application from you. Right? You can go online to ReginaTheQueenOfCarLoans.com, put the application in 24 hours a day. Whether you're eating dinner in your bed thinking about buying a car, in the bathroom brushing your teeth thinking about buying a car, pull up that iPhone, pull up that Android, pull up that phone and put an application in. But anyway, it's a process when you buy a car, but it's a process when you file your bankruptcies. Let's just get in and dig in the steps and go slow for the people in the front, people in the middle, and people in the back.
Okay. One of the first things we're going to do on that initial conversation, we're going to talk about your debts. We're going to talk about your bills. We're going to talk about your goals. And we're going to also send you some disclosures shortly thereafter. Those disclosures are mandated by Congress. It's going to tell you that we're a debt relief agency, that we help people file bankruptcy. It's going to also tell you the 4 different kind of bankruptcies that you're eligible to file. There's the Chapter 7, and then it's going to tell you the filing fee for the Chapter 7. It's going to tell you the Chapter 13. The filing fee for Chapter 13. It's also going to mention a Chapter 11, Chapter 12. Most of the time, 11s and 12s don't apply to individuals. Usually, Chapter 11s apply to businesses. For example, GM filed a Chapter 11.
Because they wanted to protect their assets.
Because they wanted to protect their assets and liquidate, and they had to reorganize. When the automobile industry, anytime a company, it doesn't even have to be GM, it could be any company. They're gonna file usually a Chapter 11. And then there's also a Chapter 12, which is a family farmer. So most people qualify for.
It's a what?
Chapter 12 is family farmers. That's usually not. Most people aren't filing. In this area in Southeast Michigan, we don't have a lot of family farms.
Okay. All right, because I'm looking like. Explain.
But the disclosures are going to tell you about the 4 basic types of bankruptcies. We're also going to, if you decide you want to move forward, we'll have you sign a contract. We're going to have you fill out a questionnaire. We're going to request some information, some income, some bills, so that we can determine the best chapter to put you in to see what is your income. Is your income too high for a 7? Is your income, do we need to file a Chapter 13? And that's going to be part of our analysis. And then once you get us...
What's the income requirement?
For it's a sliding scale, like everything in bankruptcy.
So give me the sliding scale. Talk about that sliding scale. So if you make $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year, then are you able to file the Chapter 7? Or explain that sliding scale.
Well, one of the big changes of the law back in 2005 is that they did this. They created this portion of the bankruptcy called a means test. A means test looks at your income. Based on that means test, it tells me a couple of things. It tells me whether, based on your income, whether you should be in a Chapter 7 or whether you should be in a Chapter 13. So if your income is $100,000, how many people are in your household? What county do you live in? Do you have cars? Do you have houses? Do you owe? What type of debt do you owe? Because what happens is we deduct all of those things.
But why does it matter what county you live in? I'm confused.
Or what state? Because there's different, and maybe I should say more state, because they're based on the state. The means test is going to allow you a certain income level based on your state.
And the means test is what?
It's a statement of your income. It tells us what is your income over the past 6 months.
So one person would tell you what their income is.
No, they provide the pay stubs. They provide the pay stubs. That's why we request the pay stubs. They provide the pay stubs. We enter the information. We determine, can we file a Chapter 7?
So the system tells you whether you can do that once they provide the financial information, correct?
The system, we have a program that helps us, but the numbers are set by Congress.
Numbers don't lie.
The numbers do not lie.
Congress.
They do not lie.
Okay, gotcha. I'm learning a lot this morning because Congress plays a huge part in the world, and people just need to know this. This is just so great information. We came on talking about family and what we think about the therapist. I mean, just that whole points to ponder segment, and now we're getting into bankruptcy, and that really honestly applies to anybody because you got powerful, influential people. I don't want to call this person's name, but he's filed bankruptcy so much and he's still going. But I'm not going to give him a chance to say his name. But it's important because we are bridging the gap for information people don't know.
Yeah, that's
right.
Good. That's good. But you have a lot of prideful people, and so when they have all of these assets, and now that they want to discharge this debt, how can you assure the people that come through your door that it's confidential and that they can trust Lewis Law to give them the services that they need, and they still can walk out and still have dignity and respect, knowing that they have to show all of their personal information to you, and now you know it?
One of the things that I value, and I would like to think all of my attorney colleagues would value, is that one of our rules under the rules of professional responsibility is attorney-client privilege.
Yes.
And I value privilege. I think one of the things we have to do is we have to make sure that we're protecting the privilege. We're protecting any conversation that I have with my client. I always reassure them that this is a privileged conversation, whether I know them personally or not. I may say, hey, if I see you at the grocery store and I don't speak, it's not because I'm being rude. It's because, you may not want people to know that you consulted with someone who files a lot of bankruptcy. So, I think it's really important for people to understand that I take your privilege very, very, very seriously.
Right. So, Attorney Lewis, tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
Okay. Thank you for having me on. If you want to contact Lewis Law, PLLC, you can reach us at 248-785-3780, 248-785-3780. We are located at 1071 West Huron in Waterford, Michigan, and my website is LashondaLewisLaw.com. Hope to see you soon.
LashondaLewisLaw.com. One more time for the people in the back.
Lashonda, LASHONDA, LewisLaw.com.
So you heard it here. So if you or anybody in your family, if it's you yourself, if you need these services, then you want to contact Attorney Lashonda Lewis at Lewis Law Firm.
Yes.
Yeah, this whole show has been very educating, and education is the key.
Yeah, it is.
If you don't get anything on these shows that we do, something's wrong with you. It's because we have it all the way up from you being 14, 15 years old, all the way up to you being 70 years old. Yeah. Because you never know when somebody's going to need someone's services.
Yeah.
You know, I was just in the gas station this morning, and you know, I met this young lady. I actually didn't meet her. I was getting gas, just standing there, and she was talking to someone, and she was being friendly to the person, telling them that they was playing the lottery. And I hope you win and all this. And she was talking to this person, and I was thinking she was being very friendly, very nice, but she also said, hope you win, had a conversation, blah, blah. Then she put her business out there. Boom. And I'm like, wow. You know, and I'm not going to shout her out right now, but I'm going to shout her out on our next shout out. And I think what I want to do is, you called me right after, and I was messaging her on Instagram because, you know, I want her to come on the show because we want to actually shout out businesses in the area, but for her to give someone a congratulation, I hope you win, blah, blah, and then shout her business out. So it was a process. You know what I mean? She gave you a compliment, then she talked about her business. And she wasn't talking to me. I was just listening. I just said, hey, can you repeat your business name again? And she said, she started talking again. I said, well, can you repeat it one more time for me? And I had to have it for the front, the middle, and the back. I had to have it repeated twice to me, right? With that is that you never know when you can have a conversation, who you're going to meet, what kind of difference you're going to make with that person. And that's called putting the person in the driver's seat, because you never know who's listening. You know, that's strong. What is your take on that, Dr. T?
Well, I believe that, you know, like you said, we want to put people in the driver's seat and have them just kind of be in kind of control of what's going on. And so today's segment, even the segments we've had even prior to this, we're giving news that individuals can use. But what good is the news if you don't use it, right?
Information you can use.
What is the news if you can't use it?
Yes.
So, you know, like today, we talked about family, right? We kind of talked about, even with bankruptcy, that affects the whole entire family. So everything we talked about today really talks about the family unit, period. Because if you have, you know, the family, if you have, I don't know what's happening, y'all, so I'm laughing.
So what we need to do, we need to wrap up and run out of time. Who's the winner?
Okay, so listen,
Real
y'all.
quick.
The winner is Deidre Hill. Deidre Hill, you are the winner of the 2 tickets, the night out from Regina, the Queen of Carlones, and Dr. T. Please, 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 Deidre, if you're listening, because I'm trying to give them to Regina, please email us at Be in the Driver's Seat, and we will meet up with you, take pictures, and give you your ticket.
All right, thanks for listening. Same time next week. Be in the driver's seat. Have a good week.
You've been listening to Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Carlones, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Brought to you by Joe Longhammer Chevrolet of Waterford.
Be in the Driver's Seat, a Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. From Regina, the Queen of Carlones, and Dr. Teresa Moore, thank you for listening.